There is still so much to do on my 5,000 euro house. Remember, this house has 3 floors. Ground floor, first floor, attic, and a bathroom on the side. We're going to be working on all of them today, but we'll start with the bathroom. Andreas, the micro cement expert, needs to put plaster on the walls and level them out. Of course, it didn't take him too long to do, but this takes a long time to dry. Next up, Igor number 2 started to smooth out the ceiling with more plaster of his own. This is the kind of process I love having experts for. It requires the kind of precision that you just can't look up on the internet.
5 minutes and he's dry.
Of course, then the bad luck came. It rained for 3 days straight, so no work could be done, and I ended up tripping and injuring my ankle again. To take advantage of this downtime, I ended up driving a long way to visit some friends who own a company called Chipolo. Wow. They make these colorful little trackers that connect to your phone and keep you from losing things. They showed me the factory and how they make them. It was cool to see. I just push this button. Each one of these little devices has a GPS tracker in it, so you can find it wherever it may be. So they gave me a bunch of them and a few other little gifts, and when I got back to my house, I immediately put one on each of my sets of keys. Finally, when the rain stopped, my neighbors came. The experts are here. And this guy.
Who's me?
Ivana was going to clean the basement, and Igor, Mario, and I were going to work on the roof. We had finished one side with all of the planks and a window, and now it was time to do the same to the other side, starting by cutting a hole with a chainsaw.
Hello.
As soon as we were putting the frame in, we got a special delivery from my neighbor Chris. It was all of the lumber we were going to need for the deck. Holy smokes! It was really heavy. I don't know if I'm using proper technique. Okay, so this is the bones for our deck, which is going to be about 45 square meters. Now that we have the wood, we're going to spend this week building it. But first, we have a roof to finish. Igor already did this on the other side, so he knew what he was doing. Look at those clouds. This is a cinematic masterpiece. It feels good to have these windows up here. This just makes a world of difference in here. Who started that? Did you start the fire?
Yeah, I'm firefighter, so...
That got me curious as to what Ivana was up to in the basement. This is brilliant.
Yeah, I know.
You're the master.
Yeah, I know.
With the windows on the roof, Mario and I started to insulate. Dude, that is... All we had to do was staple in a foil and shove the rock wool into place. Probably the easiest job of the day. If I do fall, you'll get it on camera. With light and insulation, this is starting to look like a real room. First, my neighbor Chris and I are going to build the frame to this deck. The wood I bought is not treated. Green. So we had to do that ourselves. Trust me, I'm a pro. After that, Chris ran a string along the concrete piers we created to see how in line everything was. Bruh, that's not even close. And that is up to Chris to figure out. While he was doing that, the guys from Saramati came back today to finish the facade. These 2 small terraces needed to be done. The technique was basically the same as the rest of the house, just a little bit thinner rock wool, cetaceite mineral wool, and adhesive. They saved the terraces for last because it required some very precise cutting. Every little gap needs to be filled so everything looks uniform. They even had to do the ceiling, which I didn't know they were going to do, but what a nice touch. But they weren't just working on the terraces today. Everything else needed to be lined up and all of the corners needed to be made straight. Wonky construction.
They had too much rock here when they built this up.
Every single day we're working on this project, I'm just amazed. Whoa, the net's coming out! It can be hard for me to imagine this house actually being finished, but every day there's meaningful progress to getting that done. Let's check back in with Chris. Yep, it looks like he's been able to get most of those main beams in place. That's solid! After gently persuading the last few beams into place, it was time to secure them down with nuts and washers, starting by creating holes for them to actually go, with the chainsaw and then the chisel. I've done a little woodworking before. This was a simple task that ended up taking most of my afternoon, but it will be totally worth it in the end, as now we're going to put in the cross beams, simply using friction and really long screws. Every tool is a sledgehammer. if you think hard enough. And a chainsaw is the only saw you need. This is the start of what is going to be an epic hangout spot. Back to the Facade crew. Oh wow, look how pretty that is. They were just getting rid of all of that horrible blue color. And they were sharpening up the staircase. This is another thing I didn't expect them to do, but they want this house to look nice. I cannot wait to see the final product. All the way down. At the end of the day, the house was looking sharp. Every corner, every windowsill, every door frame was looking all squared up. Just a few more layers to go. So yesterday, we had the start of a frame, and today, my neighbor Chris and I are going to finish it. One of the main beams was severely twisted, so it needed to be leveled. We're going old school. We're going prehistoric on this. It was so bad, we were basically throwing every tool we had at it until eventually it was flat enough to be retreated. After putting in the last few screws, it was time to fill in these big squares. The store didn't have the planks we needed in stock, so we just bought ones that were too big and cut them in half. Of course they needed to be treated.
Nozzle broke. I have to use thumb control.
Chris marked where they were supposed to go, I cut them down to size, and he started to put them in place. This task was going to take up pretty much the entire day. What is that, 4 down, 40 to go? Luckily, while we were working, the Facade guys had come back to finish the job. The house had only been covered with 1 coat of set-a-seed mineral wool, but it's gonna need 2 more of those to give us the strength we need. They started by smoothing the walls and making as many buckets of mineral wool as they could. They were going to need to cover every square centimeter of the house again.
Bro, man,
It's that easy.
you're going to be a pro, man.
This coat is a little different from the last because they're putting in this green netting everywhere. This is going to help smoothen the walls and keep it from cracking in the future. This is so different than the way we build houses in America, but these guys really couldn't imagine doing it any other way. Even though the process is labor intensive, the results can't be denied. Now everything on the house looks like new construction, as if it was just designed and built yesterday. Though there's still another coat to do. This is not the final color or design. They're gonna have to come back. Checking back in with Chris, he had made really good progress on the deck, and it was time for me to help. I covered up every beam and plank with this tape. This probably isn't the kind of tape you're used to seeing on these projects, but I think it's going to do the job just fine.
This is a lot of tape.
Dang it. Okay, so at the end of the day, I ran out of tape, and Chris ran out of screws. Though I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty good progress. First people walking up my hill this morning were the Saramati Facade guys. They were going to put in some new window sills. These stone window sills were given to me by a local company called Kamnasestvo Saks. Probably pronounced it wrong, but they look good. After leveling out a few of the walls, it was time for them to finally add the primer for the final facade. I'm just one step closer to having a final finished facade. The color changes once more. This part is not as precise as the others. You basically just have to get paint on every surface you can. And by the time it was done, the house was looking a certain kind of way. I'm excited for the next step. With them done for the day, it was time for me and my neighbor Chris to put these planks on our deck frame we built. Now, these planks were given to me by a local company called Elgrad. They're not real wood. They're made of a more durable, waterproof composite material that just looks like wood. They click together easy with no visible screws. I'm really thankful for them. This is exactly what I wanted. Though getting them up the hill wasn't easy. Now, that's one way to get them to fit in the car.
Technologia.
This part is all Chris. I wasn't much help.
It's slipping like crazy.
It's that easy. Chris also brought his creatively named dog, Black, to keep us company. He likes the deck. I gotta get myself a dog. I love dogs. By the end of the day, we had the planks half done, but we were out of daylight. So we continued the next morning, first with a trip to Pevex. This place doesn't just provide me with building materials and tools, but they've got a great electronics section as well. And they invited me to come and pick out some speakers for the job site. They gave me one big JBL speaker, and of course, they wanted to give me 10 small ones. Each of my neighbors is getting one of these. I drove back to the job site where Chris was working on the deck, and I had a surprise.
There will be music!
Everything is better with the right music. I was pretty convinced we were going to lay all of these planks down today. The mood was high, Chris was on a roll, the sun was shining. But the deck isn't the only project for today. We need to finish the micro cement in the bathroom, and this guy, Igor, it's a very common name. Igor number 3 is the guy to do it. He spent all day priming and preparing the corners and edges for micro cement, and tomorrow he is actually going to start putting it on. Is this the actual micro cement?
Yeah.
For real?
For real.
3 coats?
4.
Oh my gosh. It was at that point when I went back to the deck for my dreams to be dashed. It started to rain. We had to put everything away, all the electronics. We'll get back on it when the rain stops. I have been living in my 5,000 euro house with no water and no electricity for months now. That's why number 1 priorities are finishing the bathroom and getting the roof ready for solar panels. Starting with the bathroom, the walls are primed and ready for their first layer of micro cement. Igor, number 3, made short work of that. He got all 4 walls and the floor covered, and now it's time to just let it dry. Now for the roof. These tiles and gutters need to get to the top of the trail. Looks like a job for my neighbors Chris, Crescio, and of course me. 1 load, easy. 2 loads, my goodness, this is a lot of tiles. On our 3rd load, we were actually joined by some friends from Setacete. After unloading the tiles, I got to pick what kind of wood I wanted the terraces to have on the walls. But they weren't going to do it with real wood. They're going to do it with this bag of white powder mixed with water. It's similar to what you make a normal facade with, but with a little more pizzazz. After applying the material, they press on this rubber imprint, which leaves behind this pattern. You just gotta trust the process. I knew it was gonna take a while, so I went to join Chris on the deck. He was finishing the planks, and I was going to build some tables. I'd been waiting for this for a long time.
That's not so bad.
It started about a week ago when Elgrad invited me to their showroom to pick out legs and a pattern for the tables. They specialize in high-quality, weatherproof materials, so they were a perfect fit for the deck. This is the one. Natural. Not only did they provide the tables, but they also provided all of the planks for the deck. As soon as we had attached the first tabletop, a group of random locals came up the hill unannounced. They brought burek. This is a local delicacy. Only the highest class Balkaners eat it. I'm not exaggerating when I say I don't know these guys. They just knew we had been working all day and thought we needed a break. When the break was over, the guys from Setacete wanted to show me what they had done. It looks so good. Now we just have to let it dry, and when it's painted, it's gonna look just like real wood with none of the downsides. Moving right along, Igor number 3 came back up because his micro cement was dry, and he was ready to add another coat. Now this is actually what the real color of the bathroom will be. Throughout the house, I'm trying to go with more earth tones and avoid gray as much as possible. I know it's like the color of the decade or something, but I just can't stand it. This looks much better. Dude, fire me. With the bathroom drying and waiting for its next coat, I got some news from Chris. So Chris has to go. He finished most of it. You can kind of see the part that he didn't quite get to. It's practically finished. It just needs chairs, a kitchen and countertops, a roof. But other than that, of course, it's looking a lot better than it did a month ago, but yeah, there's still work to do. Starting with my neighbor Igor and Zdravko, the roof expert, installing the gutters. Igor and I started attaching this net to the edge of the roof to keep the birds out. I don't know if you guys can tell on camera, but this is really high up right now. Then Zdravko measured and started bending these gutter hangers. As they started to install them, I went to work with Chris on the deck. These last few boards needed to be attached, but that wasn't too much of a problem. The final board? It's the final one. After cleaning up a bit, I made a run to the store and bought some chairs. Finally, a place to sit. I asked him if he needs any help. He says, no, I don't need any help. What the heck? Now it was time to cut the pillars that are going to hold up the roof. That little box, he's gonna cut out with the chainsaw. That's light work for an experienced chainsaw user. Then it was time for sanding. So much sanding, in fact, that it was probably going to consume the rest of the day. I left Chris to work on that while I went to see Igor number 3 about finishing the micro cement in the bathroom. I had picked my colors and patterns, and it was time to finish up. This process has been more than a week in the making, but I am very impressed with the results. I was ready to experiment, and I'm glad I was. Micro cement is durable, waterproof, highly customizable, and Rivadil was just a joy to work with on this.
Is this it? Yeah, that's all. This is the end? Yeah. Oh my god!
Rivadil is the #1 producer of micro cement in the region, and they didn't charge me at all for any of the materials or the labor on this bathroom. Now we just have the appliances to install, and then the bathroom is finished. Back to Chris, he was ready to see how the beams were going to look.
Wow, that's high.
We're just gonna send it. The roof is going to be at about a 20-degree angle, so the beams on one side will be 4 meters and the beams on the other side will be about 2.5. As predicted, the sanding did take all day. But with 6 beams done, it was time to get back to Zdravko and Igor. It turns out that making gutters is a highly specialized process. Every cut and every angle needs to be just right. But thankfully, there's people around me who actually know what they're doing. With the gutters in place, it was time to put on the metal siding for the edges of the roof, which of course was no problem at all. It takes a lot of experience to be this confident on a rooftop. The anticipation is killing me! With the metal sides and the gutters finished, my neighbors Mladen and Patrick came by to see how we were doing, and we decided, why not lay down that first row of tiles? It's a perfect fit. No cutting required for the first row. Yay! I'm very blessed to have neighbors like these.
My 5,000 euro house is getting a roof and electricity for the first time.
Installing roof tiles is easy, but getting them up to the roof is hard. Early in the morning, me and my neighbor Chris started bringing them up 1 stack at a time. Once we reached the roof, we just gingerly placed them down. To cover one side of the roof, it was about 230 tiles. Easy. This gives me the opportunity to talk more about the company that gave me these tiles. Wienerberger Tondak. They were the very first sponsor of this series almost 2 months ago, and they have been waiting patiently for me to put these tiles on the roof. Not only are these tiles durable and beautiful, but they also gave me these windows for the skylight as well. I could not think of a company that's more deserving of your support.
Huge respect to roofers. Goodness gracious.
As we finished one side, more neighbors came.
The cavalry is here!
Yes, Patrick and Mladen are going to help us with the other side. It really helped lighten the load to have the extra hands, which is good because it gave me the freedom to go down and help the guys who are going to give this house power. We loaded up some of their solar supplies and drove them up the hill just in time for them to place the last tile. Yay! Wow! When EnergyCom reached out to me and said that they wanted to give me solar power, I couldn't say no. They've set up and installed more than 2,000 solar panels in houses and commercial buildings. EnergyCom has the knowledge and experience to make this off-grid system happen.
It's super light.
And we got 2 of them. They're installing a system that has about 10 kilowatt hours capacity.
It's very light.
Yeah, each of these batteries weighs more than 50 kilos. I've got a feeling that this capacity will be okay, but if I need more, I could always add more batteries.
Inverter?
I wish I could explain to you how this system works, but trust me, it just works.
Come on. Hey! Life!
After mounting the inverter on the outside and the batteries on the inside, it was time to get those panels up on the roof. After working out the wiring, we went down to the bottom of the hill to retrieve them. Turns out, solar panels are surprisingly light.
He's taking a video! Oh my gosh.
Of course, I bought everybody lunch for a quick break, and then I got to watch an impressive display of strength and balance as they brought the panels up to the roof. It was about at this time that I was very thankful that they had brought with them a drone to capture this. I've been living here in the woods without power for more than 2 months. It's been a humbling experience, but that era of this project is over now. And now it's time for what's next, starting with just one single outlet. By the end of this video, this house is going to have a finished facade. And the way to do that is with all of these pink buckets. The guys from Saramati brought their tools, specifically spatulas, to just slap this material on the house. Say goodbye to gray.
It's such an interesting texture.
and hello to white. Now this may look like a simple process, and this isn't a very big house, but it's going to take all 8 of these guys pretty much the entire day. Now technically this stuff is called Cetacetic Silicone Elastomer Render, but the best way I can describe it is like thick paint with small rocks in it.
Can I try?
Yeah. It's UV resistant, weather resistant, dirt resistant, and impact resistant.
Messy work!
Now, Cetacetic, the company that made the product, is the one who orchestrated this entire facade. They covered the cost of all material and labor. They wanted to work together, and I said, use my house as a canvas for your product. And they said, all right, bet. Just as we were making a major breakthrough, there was a bit of an emergency. Yes, my house is still in the middle of nowhere, and it's not easy to get up here. Yeah, so basically, I had to call my neighbors, and they had to pull out the facade guy's van from the ditch. And when they got to the top, it wasn't much easier there either. Yeah, just use the tractor. With that crisis averted, it was time to paint the terraces. Now these had a very specific pattern. We had used plaster to make it look like it was wood. Not my idea. This was all on Cetacetic, and it was brilliant. Makes the terraces warm and homey and doesn't have all of the maintenance that comes with wood. For the final step, it's time to get fancy and add a second color. It was around this point that I actually started to get pretty emotional. I knew it was possible, but for some reason I never seemed to think we would get this far. Let's see what's behind that scaffolding. But first, do you remember when the house was buried in the woods and you couldn't even see it? Do you remember when we uncovered it? Do you remember when we cleared it? Do you remember when we tore it down? Or when we started to build it back up? The house isn't finished. It still doesn't have running water. It only has one working outlet and really one half-finished room. But things like this make living here a lot better. And if you think this is as far as I'm gonna take this, you're wrong. There's still a lot to do. Alright, so the facade is finally up, but that comes at a cost, which is garbage everywhere. Just as I was about to start picking up, the inevitable happened. The path leading up to my house is treacherous.
Yep. Nice.
Somebody was bound to try to come up here and end up off the trail. Luckily, my neighbors came to pull him out.
Those scratches will buff out.
All right, let's pick up this garbage. I had a little bit of help from my neighbor Mario's son. While he brought things down, I decided I would do a little demolition. This old concrete sticking out of the ground here has been driving me crazy. My neighbor Chris started to move tiles up to the bathroom roof. A massive rainstorm is coming, and it needs to be protected. But of course, today, nothing can be easy. We built the slope of the roof too shallow, so water wasn't going to drain.
It's supposed to go down.
We have to take everything off, pull everything down, and start again. And we've only got one day to do it. On another note, look at my shoes. They were sent to me by a company called Hey Dude. And I'll tell you what, I really like the style of these. And so did my neighbors. They sent a few extra pairs for me to give out.
Thank you very much.
Open it.
Oh, they're not pink. Good.
Fancy. Whoa! Unlike anything I've ever worn.
Thanks to Hey Dude for the shoes. Anyway, Chris started disassembling the roof. I'm not gonna lie, this was painful. It was a lot of work. I had to go into town and buy new wood. Some local boys helped us unload it. And Chris cut the new planks at an angle. So one side was thicker and the other side was thinner.
Chris has developed a system. To all the local carpenters in the area, this is how Chris works.
I think it'll turn out to be a fine solution to a difficult problem. While Chris was on the roof of the bathroom, my neighbor Mario and I went inside to start installing the appliances. Look at how level that is. Oh, I'm a genius. I was pretty proud I put this sink in all by myself.
Mario refused to let me install this toilet. He knew that he was the only one. Fantastic. Is it leaking?
No, it's not leaking.
All right, take 2 is a success.
I don't have running water yet, so we have to fill it manually, but you have no idea how happy this makes me. Night had fallen, and I remembered that we had never installed the tiles at the apex of the main roof. So Chris and I went up there in the dark to rectify that situation. This is good enough for now. As we were reinstalling the skylight windows, I realized we did not handle all of that garbage. Okay, we handled a little bit of it, but I was honestly more focused on the bathroom. Look at all this nice stuff. Just as I was about to clean that up, the worst possible thing happened.
I hear it. Oh, no.
Yeah, the rain came early and it was coming down hard. I had to run and grab as much stuff as I could to save it from getting wet. We had not set up the gutters properly, we had not finished the roof on the bathroom, and there was still garbage everywhere. As the rain put out the fire, I couldn't help but think, there's still a lot that needs to be done. This is what I woke up to this morning.
I can't believe it. It's so loud I can barely hear myself think. This is sideways rain, dude.
And the bathroom was leaking very badly. Remember, we didn't put the roof tiles back on, and the water was getting everywhere. This bucket was empty yesterday. The whole place was just total chaos, and I was honestly concerned that there was going to be a mudslide.
Not a single drop of water in the attic. That was the real test. Thank God.
We did a good job on the main roof, luckily. As I was trying to wait out the storm and decide what I was going to do, through the woods, I saw a figure. It was my neighbor Chris, who came to check on me. He wanted to cover the bathroom up with a tarp to keep the rain from getting any worse. Luckily, he was dressed for the occasion. The other day, I had given him a hat and a jacket from Bearskin, who sent me some packages a few days before. I'm just trying to organize in my room. They sent so much stuff.
Every one of my neighbors is getting a bunch of stuff from them.
Thanks so much to Bearskin for sponsoring me and my community.
They're shorts now.
Finally, when the rain stopped, some friends from the UK dropped by.
We brought food and beer.
Hey! Due to everything being wet and muddy, I had to clean up the attic to make a little space for us to hang out. So much dust. With that all cleaned up, we sat down and had lunch together. It's great to have visitors. After that, everybody cleared out, and I was gonna make it my mission to finish this bathroom. But where did I get this stuff? It actually started a few weeks back when I drove into town and went to Facade. They invited me to their showroom to pick out everything I needed from my bathroom. Of course, I said yes because I knew it was their specialty. Their staff was really helpful to me, and they gave me ideas I had never even thought about before. Which was good because it was kind of hard making choices. How many shower heads could you need? Thanks to Ketaterm for sponsoring me. Now let's bring that vision to life. I uncovered the shower tray and started to build the surround. I realized I got a little overzealous with the pencil markings, so I bought an eraser and started to take that off. Thankfully, this is micro cement, not paint, so it was easy. Next, I started to clean up the windows with a sponge, and after that, it was the floors. This is a no shoes zone now. Oh my gosh. After a while, I found myself looking in the new mirror and thinking about what's happened in the last 50 episodes. I installed the ceiling light that I bought. What do you guys think of this style? I'm not sure how I feel about it. And then last but not least, I finished off that shower.
It's 2 a.m. I did it. Yes! Follow this page to see what happens next.